This is one of the biggest lies I ever told to get myself out of trouble. So back in high school, I used to run on the cross-country team, but by no means was I competitive or athletic at all. I was honestly just there for the social aspect of it. All throughout my freshman year of high school, I would literally run to Cold Stone Creamery to get ice cream and bring it back to everyone on my bus. I don't know if that tells you what kind of athlete I was, but yeah. Somehow I still didn't get caught for doing this stuff, and by later in high school, my friends and I decided to pretty much never go. I mean, we would show up to practice, but we would wait until everyone was ahead of us and then turn the opposite direction and sprint to Starbucks. We literally did this almost every single day. And then we would call cute boys from other schools to come meet us over there. We would literally get coffee with them, go shopping, and then once we saw the team getting close again, we would just run back to school and pretend like we did the workout. Until one day, I was called down to the principals. They said it had to do with my cross-country attendance. Follow Cher and I'll tell you what happened next.
I was raised by parents who believe religiously and just culturally in rigid gender roles. Dad should work, mom should stay home and raise the kids. I'm the only girl and I have 3 brothers. Because of their expectation, I would just get married and stay home and raise kids. They never valued my education. They never valued my educational achievements or emphasized things beyond domestic skill. I'm the second youngest, and by the time I was in high school, my 2 older brothers had gone to the college of their choice, with my parents covering full tuition, books, and off-campus apartment and other living expenses. They eventually did the same for my younger brother, and I was told I wasn't allowed to apply for college. I did so in secret and got accepted with a partial scholarship. I didn't tell them I was moving out until a week before I left. With essentially nothing, the only things I had were things my friends had given to me that their parents bought for them for college. I took engineering and had to work, take on a debt, and struggle. My parents and I have barely spoken in years. I'm married now and expecting our first child, and they asked to meet up. We met at a park, and they said they were sorry if they caused me pain, but would like a relationship now. I'm 24 years old, and I recently married my childhood sweetheart. We had a pretty small wedding due to the global situation, but it was planned well in advance, so we didn't cancel, just kept it to family. And we planned to have a party with everyone else at a later date. For some background on my husband, his parents had him pretty young. They were both 18 and 19, and he has a very close family. Our wedding reception was quite intimate, but we had the traditional speeches planned. Father of the bride, best man, which was my husband's brother, and the groom. It was only the day before that my mother-in-law asked if she could have the mic to say a few words when we sat down to eat, and we said this would be great. Big mistake. Stupid us. We figured she would talk about us at our wedding, so we never asked what she planned to say. She announced to all of our guests that she's expecting a baby. She's still pretty young and very healthy, but it was a huge shock that just completely took over the night. What's even worse for me is that I'm also pregnant and we planned to announce it at the wedding, but I told my husband to just leave it out of his speech. Everything felt a bit sour for me after that. After the wedding, I didn't speak to my mother-in-law for a few days, and I got a call from her sister to ask what's up. I explained that I felt like the attention was taken away from us without our permission. I would have said no.
Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about 2 young girls, Mandy and Melissa, who were identical twins. But one day they were kidnapped by an unknown man. No one knew who the kidnapper was, but something isn't adding up here. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So Mandy and Melissa were born to a very rich family. They lived in a large mansion with their father and older brother. Everyone was jealous of these girls because their father loved them so much and gave them everything that they wanted and all of his attention. But one tragic night, the girls were taken. When they woke up, they were blindfolded and tied to chairs so they couldn't see a thing. They were terrified. Suddenly, Mandy heard a high-pitched voice whispering in her ear. It was the kidnappers. He said, "I've contacted your parents and I'm demanding $1 million ransom. If you try to escape, I will kill Melissa." Then Melissa heard the same voice whisper in her ear. He said, "I contacted your parents and I'm demanding $1 million ransom. If you try to escape, I will kill Mandy." So who kidnapped the twin girls and why did they do it? Can you solve this mystery?
He argued that he wasn't lying. I said, well, he wasn't the one who went through the difficult birth experience, that I was struggling for 9 months of intense symptoms and my birth was extremely difficult. I've never experienced anything more difficult in my life, and I'm still recovering. I'm not trying to minimize his struggle, but whatever he's dealing with, I'm suffering 10 times more than him. Despite the physical and emotional stress, I keep my mouth shut and just get things done. He snapped, saying he couldn't believe I made it all about me and that he's in the right to be able to vent and say whatever he wants whenever he pleases. I asked him what's up with the attitude. He's making me look bad to everyone and that is not okay. I asked him please stop or get himself some therapy if he's feeling overwhelmed. He looked at me shocked and then argued that I needed to stop policing his words and opinions and trying to tell him what to feel and how to deal with it. He went into the office, and minutes later, I saw a new post from him talking about me, thinking he's not doing enough, and acting as if me going through childbirth makes me a better parent than he is. I thought he was just venting, but I had family and friends reaching out asking if my husband is okay and why I was making him overwork and not giving him a break.
If a website ever asks you these questions, don't do what she did. Once there was a girl named Masha who heard that there's a new service that gives everyone free internet access, so she decided to use it, but this would lead to something horrifying for Masha and her family. After she connected to this internet service, a web page popped up asking her to register some information, but the questions were oddly personal. It asked, what's your usual mode of transportation? With a photo of a bus, a boat, a train, and a plane. Masha took her bike to school every day, so she clicked on the train instead. But the next day, the local news showed that there was a horrific train crash that killed everyone on board. Masha thought that this was a coincidence, but soon she'd realized that she made a deadly mistake. Later, she needed to use the internet again, so she logged back in. This time it asked, what kind of home do you live in? Along with 4 different pictures of different types of homes. She clicked apartment even though her and her family lived in a house. And the next day, the apartment building near her school burned down. The police suspected arson. Then she went back to the internet server one last time, but this time it showed a photo of her mother, father, sister, and herself with the question, who is your favorite family?
Storytime of how I found out that my boyfriend was sleeping with his stepsister. As crazy as it sounds, I literally just found the whole situation funny. So I was dating this kid, let's just name him Mark, for about 1.5 years. He had a bunch of step-siblings and they were all younger except one girl that was 16. She was very protective over my boyfriend, but I honestly kind of thought that was just normal, you know? She would always make up some strange excuse why she had to hang out with me and my boyfriend, so we honestly never could hang out alone. They were siblings, so I would never think anything of it. I honestly thought they were just really close. Then one day she said something really weird and it made me start to think. I seen him slap her butt a couple of times. I kept my opinions to myself at first because, you know, he's my boyfriend and I didn't want to start an argument, but then I said something. His reply was, stop overthinking, she's just my sister. Okay, well if she's just your sister, why are you smacking her butt? Anyways, one night he wasn't replying to me for like 3 hours and I thought he was asleep. So I logged into his Snap to spam cute pictures of me and his memories. And I found videos. Disturbing videos. I'm running out of time, like for part 2. Storytime of how my stepmom got so jealous of me and my dad's bond that she plotted to kill me. So I never really liked my stepmom in the first place because she was a little controlling over my dad. And I just knew that she hated me and I really hated her too. But you know, my dad was in love and he seemed happy, so I didn't really say anything. And my dad would always take me to lunch on Saturdays and Sundays. And we'd have like a dad-daughter bonding day, I guess. And me and my dad were just super close. And every single weekend, me going to lunch with him would start an argument between them two because she said I was taking time away from them two. My dad really never chose sides, but I never really got involved in the relationship as much as I hated her because I just loved seeing my dad happy. Also, at this time, I was 15. And what I'm about to say next might sound just a little crazy and unbelievable, but I'm not sure who she was on the phone with. But while on the phone with somebody, she was talking about getting rid of me. Mind you, my mom had passed away when I was younger, and I really had no other family to go to. Now, this is where the story takes a turn for the worse and she tries to get rid of me. I'm running out of time, like for the crazy part 2.
When my parents decided to get a divorce, I chose to stay with my dad. He was more financially stable, and he also promised to take care of me in the future and help me go through college as long as I graduated. When my grandmother from my mother's side passed away, I received a $30,000 inheritance, and recently my grandfather from my father's side passed away and left me with $50,000 as well. I was also working part-time jobs, and with all of that, I was able to save enough to comfortably put me through my 4 years of school. One day, my mom surprised my stepsister and bought her a brand new car. I was kind of shocked because it was way out of their budget because I knew they were struggling financially. When I looked at my bank account, I saw that a majority of my money was missing. I have my mom on all of my accounts because she wanted to monitor to make sure I don't spend too much money. I never would have thought she would have taken this and paid for my stepsister's car. Her reasoning was that my stepsister had a brighter future and had a bigger possibility of going to an Ivy League school and providing for us in the future. I, a student who gets mostly B's and C's, would just take over the family business, so I didn't really need it, and I could always work in the future. I've been 100% financially independent from my parents since the day I graduated college. I have a sister who is about a decade older than me, and my parents promised each of us a set amount of money towards our weddings. My sister used this money to have a big, beautiful wedding, and now it's my turn to get married. But my parents have admitted that they gave away the money they had saved for my wedding to my sister. My sister, a mother of one, had a series of health problems and had to freeze her eggs if she ever wanted to have another child. She didn't have the money and only had a few weeks before her hysterectomy, so she asked my parents for the $13,000, which they obviously gave her. I know I sound selfish for prioritizing my wedding over her fertility, but she was 36 when she got the diagnosis. There was no telling how long it would take for her health to recover, and it would be years before they could even afford supporting another infant. I knew she would never have the means to use those eggs before she was 40, and she has made it very clear that she wouldn't want to have an infant at that age. age. In my opinion, she acted in panic and wanted a safety net that she knew she would never use. But I'm still upset that now I won't be able to have much of a wedding because I've been counting on the funds my parents had promised. I'm not upset that they gave it to her, but I am upset that they gave it to her knowing nothing would come of it. They traded my wedding day for her brief peace of mind. So, am I overreacting? Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for still not letting my sister into my house after she made me miss my daughter's birth? Frankly, I don't know if I'm being an asshole. Family seems to think I am, so just want to know what others here think. My sister is 25 and was going to meet her dad, who was not my dad, for the first time in almost 18 or 19 years, and she was really nervous. She asked me to go with her for support. He was staying at some hotel about 30 minutes away, and the whole ride over there, my sister had my phone to give me directions. My wife was calling me because she'd gone into labor. Then my mother-in-law was calling me too. My sister put my phone on Do Not Disturb without me knowing and erased the notifications. I didn't even realize it until after we were leaving from having lunch with him an hour and a half later that she'd been calling me. All my sister told me was that I had a missed call. When I found out, I was yelling at her the whole ride to the hospital. Her only excuse was that this was a big emotional moment for her meeting her dad and she was scared doing it alone knowing how her anxiety is. This was the only time they'd have to see each other since he was leaving in a few days and wouldn't be back for months. I really couldn't believe it. By the time we got there, my daughter had already... My sister thinks I'm being selfish because I'm not putting my own health at risk to give her a baby. So just over 4 months ago, I gave birth to my fourth and last child. It was a high-risk pregnancy and the birth was very difficult. I won't go into detail as it is still hard for me to think about, but me and the baby are both fine. My doctors advised me that it would be best not to have any more kids, and I agreed. My husband just recently had a vasectomy and is now recovering. My sister and her boyfriend have tried planning for a family for a while, but recently found out she can't conceive. She's been very upset about this, and I do feel sorry for her. Our family mentioned adoption.